This is AllReasonNoLogic's road to OS25. Let's follow Pradith's journey from starting skill rating 16 as he makes his way to rating 25 and beyond.
G'day everyone, welcome back to All Reason No Logic. This is episode 5 of Beyond All Reason, the road to OS25. And we're back on the Glitters grind off the back of last game's extreme disappointment, where 3 lanes fell in less than 10 minutes. We're following Pradith's journey as he claws his way back up the OS ladder. Last time things didn't go to plan, let's just say it was character building. But with an OS now at 17.91, there is still plenty of room to climb. Today, Pradith takes the front line in front of the air player's position and faces off against the highest OS player up here. We've got Jared 6Yo. Will we see a clean execution and solid macro or micro, or will it be another lesson in the harsh realities of Beyond All Reason? Joining me once again is Pradith, and we'll break down the match, the mistakes, and the moments of brilliance, assuming there are any.
Just like to start this match with a big shout out to Roosters. Even though Roosters hasn't wanted to jump on and do much inside of the All Reason No Logic channel, he has been a big motivating factor for this road to 25 journey. You've seen him in, I think, all the videos so far, and it's because he actually gets me to play multiplayer, which is something I have tended away from in the past. So big thanks to him. And one of the things and one of the reasons why this journey's actually turned into something quite enjoyable to me has been having someone to share the wins and losses with. So if you're out there and trying to do this yourself, if you can find someone else that is wanting to do it with you, it definitely does make things a lot easier. One of the big helps is when we launch in, we actually when we pick our positions, we actually strategize about what we're going to do so that we're playing off of each other. And when we lose, like in the previous match, we have someone to bounce off of.
You can really see, like, you're obviously talking to her in Discord, you've done almost identical build orders, both got with the two they're rascals. Yeah, 2 rascals out on the front line.
Just
that nice big vision range, following each other into the front line.
Worst case scenario, it's scouting. Best case scenario, it's a lot of damage. But the last part of that was just going to be a bit of a plug for our Discord. If you're looking for someone to maybe do a journey like this with, jump onto our Discord. There are plenty of people that play. In fact, they're all people that play Beyond All Reason, and there might be a duos partner waiting for you just there.
You can really see the damage done here. So you've taken your rascals up that right hand side, and then Roosters has gone and sent them opposite because he saw the commander go that way, and really making up for the damage of any loss by taking out one of the mixers. Oh, actually,
so close to doing more damage.
1% less.
What a great response from the air player getting those shurikens out.
Only the one mech going down, but probably making that an even trade.
That's still worth it. It's still worth it, because even then we have some scouting information. Not much, but a little bit.
Red player here with 5 Janus on the front line. That could actually be used to do quite a bit of harm right now, with both yourself and Roosters. Oh no, you got some incisors out there. Roosters going into a lot of incisors. I'm liking that. Are they going to be used though?
Good question. Even if you just manage to hold your canyon, it's good enough. You're better off doing something with the units, but just holding your areas is good enough. One of the things that you'll notice with my comm is it's actually skipping mexes on the way up. It's just grabbing one line of mexes, and then I'm going to have a constructor follow up and take the rest.
That's it. One thing you're doing here in the background as well is you're building a eco continuously with just one constructor, and that every turbine that's built, the turret is construction turret's jumping back to building a unit, so you're getting 1-on-1. So it's really important. You can see maybe that's something that Roosters can improve on. Well, as I say that, doing similar thing, getting that one turret up and just having continuous eco building there.
It's a real hard question to answer as to whether or not a couple of extra early units or a slight advantage in eco is going to be better for you. Because if the opponent has too many additional units, they'll run on through and gain a metal advantage by either reclaiming or just by gaining a very strong win against you. But on the flip side, if you manage to get that eco advantage, then you will have more units in the long run. So it's kind of a flip side, and it means that I'm able to get some extra constructors to go out and do more and more things. When you compare that to Red, who's certainly getting more of their eco up, but I very much so could have jumped on this quite hard with five incisors, actually 6 incisors now. If I'd just gone around that player, I could have taken all of the mexes behind his front line while slowly being chased by Blitz. So certainly something to think about. Holding the front line is good, doing damage is probably better.
You're not wrong there.
I mean, if you look directly in front of my line, if I push down on the left side of the rock, what is there to stop me?
A massive gap through there, and that's where looking at the red team, Pink has moved up to join Cream on this side. What you want to see is Pink come through and take kind of that lane there, and that allows the light Pink, Johnny Brown, to take this lane here to prevent that gap happening. Kind of what's happening over here. Corporal Sam joined this middle position here, doing the perfect roll from the back line of the canyon, allowing you to protect all the way up to that rock in the middle. And Rooster's meant to be over in this canyon line here, obviously just building up a few more units, probably from that previous incisor push. I think they did. Knowing there's not that much that they're up against there. Breeding a little bit, which I don't mind too much when you're confident on the front line.
A couple of harassing units out of the red player, though they're not being fully utilized. Those whistlers could be sitting a little bit further forward. I did try to take them on, but unfortunately the LLTs being up caused a bit of a problem. He definitely has the range advantage against me, but I think I have a bit of a frontline advantage just due to the units that I've got up here, and it'll come down to if I can keep them alive through healing and then take out those whistlers. But with a couple of Janus, there's potentials for big trades in Red's favor. Janus is a great way to do efficient trades. If you just have 2 of those trucks that essentially circle around and get their missiles off, then hide behind cover again, you'll be in an absolutely great spot.
And you can see you're going into the agitator. Not a really common recommended unit on the front lines just because of how much metal it costs, but you do have plenty of metal in the bank right now, and it is a good answer for outranging these units without waiting for your own trucks to come from the lab. Not a bad inclusion of this beam as well, so nicely played by Red there, keeping your units from pushing in. Those brutes able to take quite a hit, but one of them falling.
I've got the turret in the background that is just doing its best to the healing turret doing its best to keep everything alive, and just waiting for him to push forward so that then I can get those good engagements. The beamer positioning could definitely have been better. It could have been built further forward, which would have then put my defensive turrets in range. And now we have what looks like a comm sniping force of Janus trying to push in, but they didn't get their angling correct, so I was able to take a couple of those out.
Red without energy for D guns as well, so wow, that's close. Is it going to be? No, not quite a snipe.
I should have committed to that and tried to take out the comm, because even if I'd lost a couple of extra tanks for that, blowing up the beamer would have been super worthwhile.
Nicely done by the red team. There was your Gauntlet and also Corporal Sam's. Well, yours was an agitator. Both got destroyed before they were built, so nicely done by the red team to recognise that that was a potential problem.
Thankfully not too much in the way of metal loss through that. The one thing which is certainly happening, I wasn't producing vehicles for a little while. We did miss that in the cast, but I didn't produce vehicles for about 30 seconds because I had a build queue set up and didn't have it on repeat. I've now swapped it over to my standard, which is 1 Brute, 1 Wolverine, 1 Lasher on repeat. If I'm up against bots, then I swap the Brute for a Pounder.
Yeah, I usually like to put a couple extra Brutes. I'm terrible at building Wolverines. Wolverines obviously with the highest range of those T1 units at 710 compared to the Lasher, which has a range of 700. Very close. Be surprised if you can micro around that, but slight range advantage, but a little bit more DPS out of that artillery.
The reason I want the artillery is because I'm fighting into a heavily entrenched position. With these Dragon's Teeth in front of the LLTs and with the opposing player going for the Whistler tech, getting the Wolverines is definitely, in my opinion, the play. You either need that or enough brutes to overwhelm and push on through.
I just saw that you've donated metal to Roosters, and I think that might be because you can see this T2 economy coming online. Roosters buying a stalk off of the air player and then transporting a T2 constructor over to the front line. And rather than building these in order, they're going straight to the mechs that's worth 3.2. So you're going to, what is it? Is it 3 times the amount from and how much you get out of a advanced metal extractor? There we go, I'll be able to see now.
A lot of it had to do with what I could and couldn't spend more than anything else.
Yeah.
At the time, I had spare metal and Roosters was empty, so I just transferred some across for efficient build power spending. And again, just want to point out that gap that still exists. It would be harder to take it because I'd be chased by the Whistlers the whole time, but there is still a nice juicy gap down the middle that could be taken.
Bots would probably be easier because you can go over that lump of dirt as well.
I would be probing with grunts at this point, but having the vehicles like at least for this matchup has been really good because I would have struggled against this sieging tactic that the other player is using without the extra range. My control for the rocket bots is not quite as good as yours, Twig. But we're getting lots of efficient trades, and a lot of this reclaim isn't in a position that can be taken by the red player. So even though we're not able to grab it right now, we will be able to grab it soon.
This gauntlet is going to turn into a gauntlet agitator very soon, and this commander is getting very low. They're going to watch out that they don't get hit. Obviously, there's not the complete vision, so not overly accurate. It looks like we're hitting the commander, but we are missing it when we turn off that player view.
The Whistler's great for getting range, which is what I'm using them for right now. And with the gauntlet there to back them up, I should be able to win almost any trade.
Double gauntlet on the right hand side, so Rooster's not able to push into that very hard, but does have forces building up. Eco expanding, and you can see a T2 lab's being dropped for him.
And this is where the shift in styles is going to show. Roosters is going brute heavy, and I am going lasher heavy, which means that we're going to have potentially a line run reasonably soon, because that's what the brutes are best for, and a slow siege out of myself.
How the backline's going? So your team looks like T2 is being reclaimed for some eco. We're probably going to see the fusion getting dropped down. Don't know if that's going to be fusion or APHIS straight away, but we don't have enough build power, so that's being built at the moment. Plenty of wind out of the air player, but they are being built in such a way that they will chain react. I mean, not the end of the world.
I didn't even see that. Yes,
chain
reacting not good. Though it does look like quite a lot of the players are going with big heavy grids of that. Just something to note quickly: the red player is actually outproducing me when it comes to frontline vehicles. The problem is that I am out trading him. His damage efficiency is 42% versus mine of 230%. If you're in a position where somebody is out sieging you, you actually need to move away from siege units and into line breaker units, because if all of these units were brutes, he could have absolutely annihilated me. Not even a question. Or at least pushed me off of the front line and stopped me from having the agitator gauntlet combo up here.
Looking at this player back here in the back right, continuously been building units, but probably not quite enough to take that position to counter what Corporal Shram's doing. So Corporal Shram able to gang up on you on the red player with you a little bit, and now the red player having to fall back a little bit. I will just note that the eco looks like it's quite a lot further ahead for the yellow player for the red team compared to the green player over here, and it does look like the yellow player did hand out T2s to everyone as well. So
I might actually watch specifically the yellow player just in my own time to find out their build, because I thought getting to this point and handing out everything that they need and having an anti-nuke and a tracer, that's pretty good by the 14-minute mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonder how much metal they got given.
That's the thing. I think I'm gonna watch this one just to find out.
Yeah, there's definitely some. Oh yeah, there's been quite a bit of metal given to the yellow player. That's what's happened. I'm just scrolling up in the chat there. Definitely helps. But obviously that would have probably been just to pay for
buy
the
the
T2.
T2s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still definitely worth watching because the build was quite efficient, and it looks like we've just had the blue player who's come all the way from the left side, all the way from the back left side, saying that he wants to push in. So we're going to try and do that. He is not using his units overly efficiently, just using move commands to get them in. So many of his units are shell shockers and whistlers, and so he's fighting and losing a lot of them, unlike what I'm doing, which is fighting with my brutes in front and then slow damage pushing. You have to pick the composition for what you want to do.
He probably pulled the gun a little bit too quickly, but might get the commander here, which is quite nice. Just with roosters on the right hand side, T2. Are we going to get this down to 8%?
I don't think we are.
Yeah, roosters on the right hand side with a SAR. So if all of this got pushed at once, it would have diverted the fire away from this army. But I don't reckon Nexus has. Sorry, what's that? New Rexus. Correct me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. If you join this cast, sir. But yeah, this SAR is just going to slowly push away at all of this, and the brutes harassing on the front line. Nice little control out of roosters, and now. Red with some T2 units on the front line, but these brutes still hold up to them quite well, especially with that harassing happening on the background from those lashes. And I reckon we'll see at least one of these two front lines fall.
The Starlight's a great unit for defense, but we're too early in the game to have enough power to really utilize them. They're only firing occasionally, which is not what you need when fighting up against this. And that does look like the front base of Nexus that has been taken out, as well as red being pushed right the way back. And while this is going on, a lot of reclaim happening. This fight was very cost inefficient for us, but it doesn't matter as much when you're getting the reclaim.
Yellow player got a second APHIS queued. I would definitely be going into some units at this stage of the game when you've got one front line falling.
Though this large amount of bulls taking out most of the army, though now it's being engaged by roosters tiger tanks, so that extra bit of metal given over to roosters early on has certainly helped continue this push forward. The Tsar is still alive, so lots of pushing capabilities. Does look like a Pulsar's coming up to try and defend. Pulsar's very, very strong early on if you have the power to let them fire multiple times. During all of this, taking the opportunity to transition to T2 myself and getting myself up some Quakers. A miss rally means that they're a lot further back than they should be, so they have to actually walk to the front. Quakers probably not the best call in at this exact time. I probably also should have gone with the Tiger tanks, but my role in this one was certainly much more defensive than it was offensive, or at least it was a slower push than anything else.
The Starlight's doing nice work actually cleaning up all of Rooster's stuff there, and that really hurt with Rooster's pushing by himself. Jumping across here, we've got a massive push of the Rocketeers.
With no support, with all the support going to this far right side, it has left a lot of freedom for the left players to take their own engagements as well. They've been backed up by the blue player. So the back left player, our top ranked player on this team, has certainly been helping each front push in turn and forcing the red team to divide their attention and doing it reasonably ineffectively.
Johnny Brown shutting those down with hounds, nicely done. So that push averted, but that's good 11,000, 12,000 metal on the front line there. So the red team could probably capitalise on reclaiming a lot of that. You can see the blue team's trying to get a little bit of it, sneaking in there.
This is where the longer range of the Quakers will certainly help a bit. Being able to try and keep things out of this field, manual firing at these Starlights, knowing that they're the biggest threats. The Rover's going to get vision so the Starlights can fire, but with plenty of damage going down, I do not mind losing a couple of Quakers to take out 3 Starlights.
Didn't have energy, so very nice snipe then. There was absolutely no energy coming in, only at 4 wind per second. And Rooster's going for another push. Now that those starlights are down, there's only one left. This is actually the perfect time to push through.
Having to choose between fighting the Quakers and fighting Roosters units, and with just the one left, not a lot is going to get in the way of this push.
It's a little bit of an early resign vote called for the orange player, the air player, but cutting that down quite quickly. Mind you, the blue team does have an eco that's quite far ahead, and it's really quite a spread eco as well. You can see how much wind is built in the background for every single player. I mean, even some fusions over here. That's a bit greedy actually for a frontline player. Yeah,
you have to remember though, wind is super efficient metal-wise when it comes to generating power, most of the time.
Yeah.
So scaling that economy like that, there's nothing wrong with it so long as you build them in 2x2s or some form spread out. Otherwise, you could lose it all at once.
The Maroon player coming through now and shutting down that T2 push, so nicely done there. It looks like a bit of a reset on the right hand side.
And that's what you got. That's what you have to do when you're one of the rear players. Just move your units where you can. But because Maroon is over here taking on Roosters, it means that they are not helping diagonally opposite in the map, and we do have quite a large run through going on over there. The blue team in this one has just been very effective at pushing in and dealing damage, or at least putting the red team on the back foot, neither side particularly falling apart like we saw in the previous game.
FFA doing nice with these wasps, taking out some of these units, but probably be bringing a bit more of the air across from the team's air player. So nothing to really shut these down. Probably need
the blue air could have actually sent their entire air wave across to fight this and keep and take out those wasps. Whether it would have been a victory or not, it certainly would have tied it up and given the and stop the wasps from taking out quite so much and keep this push going.
Oh, here they come now, about 10 minutes too late. I know, thought about it, coming back. We do have a flak truck there which is doing work against them. Here we go, good call now, so they're all going to go down.
Thing to remember is if you're the air player, losing all of your T1 fighters at 20 minutes is not actually a big deal. You have the eco to replenish them really quickly. Just don't send them in and then pull them out, because they will be massively taken out by the other team. Send them in and let them fight. Does look like Red's going for a bit of a counter-offensive against Roosters, but taking shelling from the Quakers on the way in, so none of the rear support is going to be particularly effective, and they're going to be fighting full health units with defenses and Azar backing them up. So no dice there for the red player, and it does mean that the eco field is going to stay firmly in the hands of the blue team, which is what you want. Big series of Tiger tanks coming to potentially take out my units, but with the Banishers even better than Quakers at dishing out the long range damage, just so expensive at 1,000 metal per pop. And so these units that are now changing to a run by are going to have to contend with a lot of damage along the way. A slow reaction by me means that and using the wrong command, using a fight command, means my unit's going to be a little bit out of position, but hopefully not too much damage being done, especially with my comm there, which should be able to get some decent D-guns if required. There we go.
You want to have a friendly unit, so well.
Oh look, you gotta do the damage you can do, and if it means firing through your own units to take something out, that's well and truly worthwhile.
Yeah. The yellow player bringing some Razorbacks, finally reacting, but after half building a APHIS, if that T3 lap, we saw this in a game recently where a player on your team did this mistake, going into too many APHISs before actually building units. So if those Razorbacks were on the front line after 2 APHIS, the entire left lane would probably still be up and running.
So this is the thing about a lab. A T3 lab is basically the same price as an APHIS. If you have scaled your build power equally along with your APHIS production, you can just build the lab, build 2 or 3 units out of it, and then eat the lab and use it to build an APHIS, and you don't really lose anything other than a tiny bit of APHIS time. It's not a difficult thing. And there's the surrender as all lanes pushed very hard, one side of the map taken out. Great job
those
from
Rauders
the
coming
whole
through the
team
middle
here.
really was the icing on the cake. There was nothing really to stop them in the background there. So
And this is where even
Battle
though the eco on my team was behind, they used the eco for great effect. They actually got the units up in between, which is a very, very strong thing. And it means just because you can't scale the best doesn't mean you can't have an impact.
it was a really nice frontline play out of you. Looking at this damage dealt graph, you can see throughout the whole game consistent damage dealt. The red player jumping ahead when those starlights come off the T2 production facility, and obviously taking out a lot of the T2 units from Roosters in green, also doing quite a bit of damage themselves. But a nice shout out to Blue, who, as you pointed out earlier, they were really consistent in pushing the lanes. Maybe a little bit of an early pull a couple times where more damage could have been done if it was a little bit better coordinated. But yeah, real good probing the lane. So they probed just about every lane on the map, and then finishing off in their own lane at the end of the match, getting through and doing that damage to the canyon, which pretty much sealed the fate of the game.
This was an example of how well the red player did with the brutes and with the starlights. They jumped from a sub 50% damage efficiency to a positive to 110% by the end of the game. So if you are struggling, starlights can they can do a lot. They really can.
Yeah, you can see it there, nicely done out of both teams, and we hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you're enjoying the journey, hit that subscribe and like button and you'll see this video. Hopefully we'll get one out every week. I am going back to work after a bit of paternity leave though, so I don't know if I'll quite get one out every week, but we'll definitely encourage getting these done until Predath reaches that coveted OS25 and maybe continue going into the future. So join us for that journey.
With how well it's going, it's going to be OS 50 and beyond.
What, top player in the world? I'm curious what the top OS for team games is. It's definitely quite up there.
If anyone who is that high OS wants to coach me, reach out. AllReasonNoLogic Discord, link in the description below.
On that note, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah,